Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." This sentiment perfectly encapsulates the spirit of a man whose influence on British history is undeniable. Born in the year of 1874, Churchill's early life was steeped in the rich traditions of the British aristocracy. His father, Lord Randolph Churchill, was a prominent Tory politician, and his mother, Jenny Jerome, was an American socialite. Their lineage bestowed upon young Winston a blend of British resolve and American ambition. Churchill's academic journey saw him attending the prestigious Harrow School, where he was known more for his independent spirit than his academic prowess. His thirst for adventure led him to the Royal Military College, Sandhurst, where he graduated with honours, marking the beginning of a distinguished military career that would take him to the corners of the British Empire. In the year of 1900, while still serving in the army, Churchill took his first step into the political arena. He was elected as a Member of Parliament for Oldham, a small industrial town in the north of England. This marked the start of a political career that would span over 6 decades and witness some of the most tumultuous events in British history. His early years in politics were characterized by a maverick spirit and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Churchill was unafraid to cross party lines in pursuit of what he believed was right, a trait that earned him both admiration and criticism from his contemporaries. In the face of success and failure, Churchill's courage never wavered. His unwavering resolve and his ability to inspire people with his words saw him rise through the ranks of British politics. Churchill's journey from a young army officer to a statesman is a testament to his indomitable spirit and relentless pursuit of his convictions. Thus began the career of a man who would come to be known as one of the most influential figures in British history. Churchill's political career was far from smooth sailing. In fact, it was a journey marked by a series of ups and downs, each shaping the leader he would become. Let's begin with his role in the Gallipoli campaign during World War I. As First Lord of the Admiralty, Churchill was a driving force behind this ambitious military operation designed to knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war. However, the campaign ended in disaster, leading to heavy casualties and a significant loss of morale among the Allied forces. This failure resulted in a significant blow to Churchill's reputation and led to his resignation from the government. Yet this setback did not deter him. He returned to the political arena under the leadership of David Lloyd George, serving as Minister of Munitions, Secretary of State for War, and eventually as Chancellor of the Exchequer. Here he demonstrated his capabilities in managing the country's finances, guiding Britain through the economic challenges of the post-war period. However, the road to prominence was not without its dark patches. Churchill faced what is often referred to as his wilderness years during the 1930s. During this time, he found himself out of office and largely ignored by a government more focused on appeasement than preparing for a potential war. Yet Churchill remained undeterred, consistently warning of the looming threat posed by Nazi Germany. His warnings fell on deaf ears until the clouds of war began to gather once again over Europe. His foresight and determination to stand against the rising tide of fascism would eventually lead to his appointment as Prime Minister in 1940. It was during World War II that Churchill truly came into his own. But that, dear listeners, is a tale for the next chapter. In 1940, at the hour of Britain's greatest need, Winston Churchill became Prime Minister. A man of courage, resolve, and an indomitable spirit, he was the beacon that guided Britain through the stormy waters of the Second World War. Churchill's leadership was not of the armchair variety. He was a hands-on leader, visiting bombed-out cities and standing shoulder to shoulder with the British people. His presence on the streets, in the rubble, gave the citizens the strength to carry on. But it was his words, his stirring speeches, that truly galvanized the nation. He spoke not of defeat, but of victory, not of despair, but of hope. "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender," he declared. And the people listened, and they believed. His words were a beacon, a rallying cry in the darkest of times. Yet Churchill knew that Britain could not stand alone. He understood the need for alliances, the power of unity, and so he sought to forge ties with the United States and the Soviet Union. Through his tireless efforts, Britain was not isolated, but part of a powerful triumvirate, a united front against the Axis powers. His diplomacy was as potent a weapon as any in the arsenal of the Allied forces. Churchill's refusal to consider defeat, his unyielding resolve, became the bedrock of Britain's resistance. His leadership, his courage, his words, they became the fuel that kept the fires of resistance burning. They were the heart of a nation at war, the spirit of a people under siege. Churchill's determination and leadership truly shone during these dark times. He was not just a leader, but a symbol of resilience, of defiance, of an unyielding spirit that refused to bow before the onslaught of war. His legacy is not just that of a prime minister, but of a man who led his nation through its darkest hour and into the light of victory. Even after the war, Churchill continued to leave his mark. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, Churchill, despite being hailed as a war hero, suffered an unexpected defeat in the 1945 general elections. The British public, eager for social change and the promises of a welfare state, voted in favour of the Labour Party. But Churchill, ever the Bulldog, did not let this setback deter him. 6 years later, in 1951, the tides of politics turned once more, and Churchill returned to Downing Street as Prime Minister. Churchill's second term, while less dramatic than his war leadership, was marked by a steady hand at the helm and a focus on international diplomacy, particularly in the context of an escalating Cold War. In 1953, Churchill was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, a testament to his mastery of the English language. This was a man, after all, who had penned multitudes of speeches that rallied a nation and who had written a 6-volume memoir of the Second World War. His words, both spoken and written, have continued to inspire and influence long after they were first uttered. Churchill's eventual retirement in 1955 was met with an outpouring of public affection. He had been a constant presence in British politics for over half a century, and his departure marked the end of an era. But even in retirement, and indeed even after his death in 1965, Churchill's influence lingered. His speeches are still quoted, his decisions still debated, and his legacy still shapes British politics. He is remembered as a great wartime leader, a skilled orator, and a dedicated public servant. His uncompromising stance against Nazi Germany and his stirring words of defiance have become symbols of British resolve and resilience. Churchill's legacy continues to impact Britain and the world at large. His life and work remain a testament to the power of leadership, the importance of courage in the face of adversity, and the enduring impact of one man's unwavering dedication to his country. Winston Churchill was more than just a statesman. He was a man who navigated the turbulent waters of his life with determination and resilience, shaping the 20th century in ways that still resonate today. Born into a life of privilege, he could have chosen a path of ease and comfort, but instead he opted for a life in the military. He was a soldier, a war correspondent, a man of action. His early years were marked by a thirst for adventure and a desire to serve. But Churchill was not content to stay on the sidelines. He rose through the ranks of British politics, serving in various positions of power and influence. His charisma, his eloquence, his ability to inspire, all these traits propelled him to the forefront of the political stage. He became a beacon of hope for a nation in the throes of a global conflict. As Prime Minister during the dark days of World War II, Churchill led his country with unyielding resolve. He rallied the spirits of the British people, promising them victory in the face of overwhelming odds. His speeches, his policies, his very presence, all served to galvanize a nation on the brink. In the post-war years, Churchill's legacy continued to evolve. He remained an influential figure, continuing to shape the course of his nation's history. His words and deeds have left an indelible mark on the world, offering lessons in leadership, perseverance, and the power of words. Winston Churchill was not just a statesman. He was a soldier, a leader, a visionary. He was a man who understood the weight of his responsibilities and embraced them with unwavering conviction. In the words of Churchill himself, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." This was a man who indeed gave much to his country and the world.